Well, hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If we're meeting for the first time, I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. I know that is a long title, but it is one of the advantages of having your own business. You get to attune to your job title. It's a wonderful thing. And what this means is, in essence, I'm a spiritual teacher, and my focus, my niche, are the angels, and helping you connect with your magic and your divine team and opening to your gifts and abilities, especially those of you who feel called to bring your light into this world, even if you don't know what that means. There's a term that often gets used. It's the term light worker or light bearer. And I think of that term as those of us who feel guided to bring more love onto this planet. And that can seem so trite. But if you look around the world, there are plenty of people that have not incarnated with that mission. So if you are one of the light bearers, if one of your heart's desires is to bring more love into this world, welcome. Welcome to our beautiful community. Welcome to this beautiful essence of home, where we can gather together and love each other and receive love from our divine teams. And in my business, I do offer one-on-one sessions, both angel sessions, which is a one-off, a 1-hour session, or a longer form of support called soul mentoring. And then what I'm really known for are my classes. I love to teach and facilitate. And all my classes take place over Zoom. All of them are designed to uplift and empower and inspire your heart, while also providing you with heart-centered community. At this point in the life cycle of my business, my classes are almost always small in size. And this means you get to be seen and witnessed and supported, and you get to share, and you get to have a presence in our class, which I just think is so valuable. I think so many of us feel isolated in life these days, and I really believe in the adage that wherever two or more are gathered in God's name or gathered in the light, miracles happen. And there is something about coming into a light-filled sacred space where you are encouraged to receive. That is so powerful, and it is what I dedicate my life to creating for you. So if you want to learn more, I invite you to visit me at my website, illuminatingsouls.com. And there are actually 2 different mailing lists you can sign up for. At the top of my page is my general mailing list. So you'll get the announcements in my newsletter. And then at the bottom of the page, you can sign up for my daily inspiration email blast. And you will receive an inspiring email from me every weekday. I also post regularly to Facebook. So there's so many ways that we can connect, and it would be my honor to support you and encourage you. One of my gifts in this work is I get to have altitude, and I get to see your preciousness and your beauty and your gifts. And so I just love getting to support you on your path of light. So thank you for being here. So this is a sleep podcast, and perhaps you're here because you are an avid sleep podcast listener. And if that's the case, welcome. And maybe for some of you, you have no idea what a sleep podcast is, but maybe there's something about this title, this episode that is intriguing you, or maybe you're familiar with my work. So let me give you a little bit of the lay of the land. So I've been listening to sleep podcasts since 2015. I listen to one every night as I'm going to sleep because what I have found is listening to a soft, sweet voice telling me a story, walking me through something or other that is easy on the consciousness, meaning I'm not trying to listen to politics or some intricate storyline or something. It's just kind of breezy, and it gives my consciousness a focal point that allows it to easily release off into sleep. So I'm not too interested, I'm not too intrigued, I don't feel compelled to stay alert and aware. I just listen to a sleep podcast, and whoever the host is, or hostess, I guess, I just listen, and I turn the volume down lower than I would if I were listening to an audiobook. And I drift off. And just so you know, I do listen to this sleep podcast. So what a delight to create content that also works for me. Oh, it's just a joy. And I'm grateful you're here. And for those of you that are regular listeners, you will have noticed that I'm not creating as much new content as I had been. So I have been in a little bit of a creative lull, and it's not anything to worry about. I will be back. I love the idea of having a podcast that publishes twice a week, and my intention is to come back to that. So think of this sort of as a mini sabbatical, a little bit of a vacation. But I'm going to continue to stay engaged. I love this podcast, and I love getting to support you. And I've been continuing to assemble materials that we can read together. I have a wonderful book that we are going to flip through today. So usually the first 15 to 20 minutes of the episode is just me sort of rambling and hopefully sharing something that can inspire and comfort you. And I bring the angels in since I'm an angelic practitioner. That's kind of my thing. And then the second part of the episode, usually about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I tell you a story, or I read to you something that is in the public domain, or if we flip through an old community cookbook or a TV guide. So we'll be keeping you company for an hour or so, and that's because my preference is for hour-long episodes in sleep podcasts. And just so you know, I'm not recording this to be an hour of riveting content. It's a sleep podcast, so by its definition, the hope is at some point in the coming hour you will drift off. That said, I know many of you do listen during your waking hours, so I hope I keep this interesting enough that I'm good company for you while you're going about your day. So it's an organic process. It's heartfelt. It's filled with love for you. And I'm so grateful you are here. You know, I wrote something on Facebook years ago, and I really believe it. And it's this, that you are one of my prayers answered. You are an answer to a prayer that I placed into the universe years ago. And that was that I would have an opportunity to do this work in the world, to be a source of comfort and love, and to bring love to others, and to inspire others, and to experience a love-filled community. And so I prayed for you. I prayed that somehow the serendipity of the universe would bring us together, that somehow you would find your way into this beautiful sanctuary of light, and we could love and support each other. So I prayed for you, and I still pray for you. I love I love it when people pray for me, and so I love getting to pray for you because it's a beautiful vibrational elixir. So my invitation to you is to receive. And we'll start that off by calling in the angels. They're already here. And if you're kind of new to the world of angels, or at least the way I work with them, they're beautiful divine messengers of light, of the divine. And we all have them. I believe this universe is set up so that every molecule of light is loved. And so you have a team of angels. You have a divine team that knows you and loves you and is supporting you. And sometimes just the invitation to open consciousness to this concept can already begin to cultivate positive shifts. So you don't have to do anything. The angels will do heavy lifting here. But I invite you to get comfortable in whatever way works best for you. For me, I love crawling in bed at the end of the day. I love bedtime. I look forward to it. I have a wonderful waking life, but oh my goodness, when bedtime rolls around, I am delighted to crawl in bed. And I fluff up my pillows, and I pull up my blankets just so. So I invite you, especially if it's your bedtime, to cozy on up and snuggle on in whatever way works best for you. And just to take a deep breath in and release. I know you're breathing all the time, but there is something about a few intentional breaths that allow us to get centered. And if you will set your intention to open to the divine love that is here for you, and I will call in the angels to join us. So beautiful angels on high, I invite you to join us here, and I ask that you infuse this broadcast with waves of love and comfort and light and healing, helping to clear from us anything that is not ours, helping us to release that which does not serve, that we might come into a deeper experience of grace, of self-awareness and self-compassion, opening up to our beautiful, vibrant gifts and abilities, amplifying our mission as ambassadors of light in this world. So just take a breath in, and even if you're not sure what the words I am speaking might mean for you, just feel into the invitation and the essence. It is the language of the soul. It is the language of life well lived in service to up-leveling the vibration of love here on the planet, which is a lofty goal, to be sure, especially when you watch the news and you're aware of what is happening in the world. I know a lot of people who are light workers and light bearers. They say, I don't watch the news. I can't watch the news. I don't want to know. Well, I grew up in a house, in a family, where we watched the news and we knew what was happening in politics, and it was important to be aware. And so I stay abreast of what is happening in the world. I try to get my news from many different sources. And the opportunity is to stay aware and not enmeshed in it. So here's what I mean by that. It is easy for the shadow. I sometimes think of the shadow as the villain of the story. I don't know how many of you are of the era, and especially if you grew up in the United States in the 60s and 70s, if you remember the cartoon Dudley Do-Right, and his nemesis was Snidely Whiplash, who had that upturned mustache and the black robe, and he was forever tying women to the railroad tracks, kind of, the archetypal villain for children. I think of the shadow that way. I think of the shadow as a seductor. The shadow seeks to keep us off kilter. The shadow whispers and says, the world is a hot mess. There's nothing you can do about it, so maybe you just want to go eat some more ice cream and opt out. Yeah, there's nothing you can do. What can you do? Yeah, I think you should just watch more television. I don't know. Just don't even pay attention. And to me, that's what the shadow sounds like. The shadow just is not terribly obvious, and it's actually not very skilled. Because to me, here is the antidote to that invitation to opt out and remove your light. Because why does it even matter? Well, because it does. I've shared with you before my favorite adage, to know that one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to succeed. Because no matter what is happening in the world or in your life, you have dominion and choice over how you use your life force in this world. And I promise you, there are opportunities and places where you can shine your light and be a source of comfort and love in this world in profoundly graceful, easy ways. See, the shadow wants us to believe it doesn't matter. I mean, listen, we can't solve the world's problems. I certainly don't have that capacity. But you know what I can do? I can record this episode of my podcast, and I can keep you company, and I can provide you with this little oasis of love. And later on today, I can post a piece of beautiful artwork with some inspiring words on Facebook that might be seen by a few thousand people. I can be kind to someone as I go to the supermarket. I can be a drop of the ocean that operates from a place of kindness and generosity of spirit. You see, we are all drops of the ocean. So we are the ocean, but we are drops of the ocean. And as drops of the ocean, we get to choose what we do with our ocean life. And if you're listening to this, you are one of the helpers. You are good people, as my father would say. You are good people. And so you just keep being you. You keep doing you. You keep being the good person that is you. You keep valuing kindness and integrity. You keep cuddling up with your cats and your dogs and your kids and your grandkids. You keep making the best banana bread. You keep growing tomatoes. My husband, we are in tomato growing season here at the Bleadon-Maffei household, and every day my husband goes into our yard and he talks to the tomato plants and he waters them and he nurtures them, and I think at last count we had 17, and they thrive under his care. And if you've ever grown tomatoes, you will know we have more tomatoes than we can ever use. And there's where the joy comes in, because we love, and especially he loves, sharing these tomatoes with others, with our neighbors, with our family, with our friends. And let me tell you, his tomatoes are delicious. There are these, I think they're called Sweet 100s. They're orange and they're like little cherry tomatoes, and they taste like tomato candy. I mean, they're astoundingly good. And so right now, that is one of the ways my husband is using his love and light We all are drops of the ocean, and we get to choose what kind of drops we are going to do and what our legacy is, and if we will be the kind of people that are known for being kind and generous and helpful. And we can make people laugh, and we can give great hugs, and we can be wise counsel. It's not about what's on your business card, it's about what's in your heart. And my friend, this is who you are. I know this. You would not be listening to this podcast if this was not reflective of your value system. And you're already doing it. You already are being it. So this is the way the angels come through to remind you of who you are as a divine being in human form. This is your pep talk from the universe. Thank you for being you. Thank you for your light. Thank you for feeling so deeply in your heart. We know it is not easy, but it is worth it. Thank you for your connection with the best of humanity. You amplify these qualities as you value them. So take a deep breath in and just allow the angels to celebrate all that you are in this moment. You are enough. You are precious. And we are grateful you are here. So this is the part of the episode where we transition into story time. So if sleep is your destination, again, just get cozy and just drift off whenever you are ready. Unless you are meant to be awake and operating heavy machinery, in which case, stay awake and have a wonderful time. And continue receiving the love of your angels, and we'll move on into story time. So even though I haven't been recording a lot of new material, I have been having so much fun collecting content for future episodes, including buying community cookbooks and other books off of eBay. And just this weekend, my husband and I went down to San Jose and bought a collection of vintage cookbooks and pamphlets from a lovely gentleman named Chris. I found his collection. He was selling it on Craigslist. So we have a lot of good stuff. This podcast isn't going anywhere because I have enough content for another 500 episodes easily. And what we're going to be flipping through today is something really cool that I bought on eBay. And it is a book titled Electric Refrigerator Recipes and Menus, specially prepared for the General Electric Refrigerator. And it was published in 1927. So this is the era when refrigerators, electric refrigerators, are becoming a thing. One of the things I remember about my grandmother, who was born, I think somewhere around 1882. Somewhere, I don't know, maybe 1892. I'm not going to go back and look at it, but at the turn of the century. And she called the refrigerator the icebox, of course, because icebox was the predecessor to the electric refrigerator. Or she called it the Frigidaire. So that must have been, one of the top brands at the time. And if you think about it, what an enormous blessing an electric refrigerator would be to a household and to the housewives of the time. That all of a sudden they could safely refrigerate food. That they could have a consistent temperature by which they could store their groceries. And they had a freezer. So now ice cubes and ice cream are a thing. And so I find this book fascinating because it speaks about that moment in time when refrigerators were becoming a household item. And many of the households that were buying their first refrigerator, this was a new technology, and how wondrous that must have been for them. An icebox was a great invention, but you had melting ice, and you didn't have consistent temperature. And on hot days, an icebox might not be as efficient as in the winter months, but with an electric refrigerator, you finally had consistency. You had climate control, if you will. So a really profound revolution for the kitchen. So we start off with the title page, Electric Refrigerator Menus and Recipes, especially prepared for General Electric, by Miss Alice Bradley, principal of Miss Farmer's School of Cookery, the cooking editor of Women's Home Companion, and author of Cooking for Profit, Candy Cookbook for Luncheon and Supper Guests. And the cost of this book was $2. And I would imagine it was also probably a giveaway when you bought your GE refrigerator. It is dedicated to the modern American homemaker, and as I already said, it was copyright and published in 1927. So we start with a foreword. With a General Electric refrigerator, many of your family food problems and your perplexities about entertaining can easily be solved. The suggestions listed and the recipes, which have been tested and compiled, are intended to serve as a guidebook for you. In the main, I have given basic recipes planned for 4 to 6 people. These foundation recipes have been adapted particularly for the General Electric refrigerator. By varying flavors and colorings and garnishes, you may provide an endless number of tempting dishes. And there is an artist's rendering that is very apropos of this time period of 2 children and a mother in front of the refrigerator. Now, the refrigerator doesn't look like your modern refrigerator, of course. It looks like it's fairly short, maybe, about 3 feet to 4 feet high. There's a giant cylinder on the top that I assume would have been the compressor. And it was up on legs so that there was circulation underneath the refrigerator. And on the next page, the foreword continues. To many people, electric refrigeration is still such a novelty that they scarcely realize the range of its possibilities. It is almost like having an Aladdin's lamp and not knowing the right way to rub it. With a General Electric refrigerator, simple recipes, easily prepared, produce delightful results. The refrigerator itself requires no attention, not even oiling, and is surprisingly easy to keep clean. The owning of such a refrigerator is a form of health and happiness insurance, which every homemaker in America should have the privilege of enjoying. The information on the following pages is intended to make the use of this newest model as pleasant and valuable as possible. Most of all, I hope that you will find real joy in creating new frozen combinations and finding new uses for your General Electric refrigerator. And it is signed by Alice Bradley. And what I appreciate so much about this foreword is, 100 years later almost, it gives us a snapshot of what this must have been like to all of a sudden have this new appliance that would make such a difference. These days we can't imagine, at least here in the United States, of not having a refrigerator. It is just a given that we must refrigerate our food to be safe, right? And to have access to a variety of foods when we're ready to use them. So this was the origins of our electric refrigerators of today. All right, we now start menus for different occasions. And just so you know, whenever I read menus, I do my best to steer away from recipes that involve a lot of meat, because I know many of you who listen are vegetarian or vegan. So I will continue that intention here. So we begin. Planning 3 meals a day, 365 days in the year, may be a most interesting game or may result in a deadly monotony of dishes. I can't even imagine. Nevertheless, people have to be fed, and most families are happier if they have occasional guests. Nutrition authorities tell us that fresh fruit and vegetables and milk are daily necessities for well-planned meals. To keep these properly requires refrigeration. Because of the part the refrigerator plays in the care of foodstuffs and the preparation of meals, it is desirable to have it as near as possible to the place where cooking is done and to the dining room as well. From the chilled fruit that is served for breakfast, the ice cubes that are frozen for water, the milk given to the children, the firm butter squares or balls, the crisp salad, and the colder frozen dessert that completes the dinner, to the iced beverage that is so popular when taken just before retiring. The refrigerator plays an important part in making food appetizing and inviting. With a reliable refrigerator, not only fresh food supplies but leftovers are kept from spoiling. With a little thought, you will find that almost anything can go into a soup, hash, stew, salad, or ice cream. Many of the dishes suggested in the menu may be made of small amounts of foodstuff added to salad dressing, whipped cream, or custard. We suggest that you study the recipes, and especially the suggestions that follow many of the recipes until you acquire the dare to make other combinations than those suggested. Salads and desserts not listed in any cookbook can easily and quickly be put together and never twice alike. If chilled or frozen, they will be greeted by a delighted family. All the alluring drugstore favorites can be prepared from pure materials and served at mealtime as they should be. Now it says family menus. In planning menus for the family, it is great help to know approximately how much perishable foodstuff is required for each person. The amounts allowed for one person for one day should be about as follows. Milk for children, 1 quart, but for adults it's 1 pint. Vegetables, 2 besides potatoes, including 1 raw or leafy vegetable or canned tomatoes. Fruit, 2 servings. Eggs, meat, fish, cheese, or other protein food, 2 servings. Butter and other fats and oils, about 2 ounces. Whole grains as bread and cereal, 2 servings. Other fuel foods, sugar and starch, in amounts to meet body's needs and satisfy the appetite. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sad that chocolate isn't in there in potato chips. But that's just me, a modern girl with modern tastes. So let me walk you through a family menu here. So for breakfast, and listen, I can promise you almost none of this is going to sound good to you. Maybe some of it will, but as I'm reading through this, I'm like, yeah, no. Okay, so we start off with prunes baked with orange juice and chilled crack wheat and thin cream. So that was the part that I thought, oh, that's not going to sound good. But dried fruit at the time provided a lot of nutrition and fiber. So we were going to bake some prunes with orange juice and chilled crack wheat and thin cream. We're also going to have scrambled eggs and toast. And now we get to my favorite part of this breakfast, which is donuts. Now we're talking coffee, cocoa, or milk. So the scrambled eggs, the donuts, and the cocoa, and the toast. I would start there and probably leave the prunes. For our luncheon, we have cream of tomato soup with croutons. Listen, anything that involves croutons, I'm happy. Frozen pineapple salad, which does sound good. I wonder what's in it. hot baking powder biscuits, I'm in, and tea with ice blocks. At some point, we need to talk about ice, because having access to ice must have been a wonderful thing. I am a big fan of ice. For the first time in my life, moving into this home with Wes back in the end of 2007, we got a refrigerator with an automatic ice maker. Now, Wes doesn't use ice. I use it every day, all the time. I love my ice. So thank you to whoever invented refrigerator, freezer technology with automatic ice making capabilities. I am a happy woman. Okay, for dinner, there is going to be a little meat mentioned here, so sorry, but I need to give you a lay of the land. For dinner, we're going to have hot bouillon in cups, cold roast beef, because of course it has to be cold, right? Because we're talking about a refrigerator. Delmonico potatoes. I have no idea what those are. Chilled lettuce with Russian dressing. Love Russian dressing. And apple pie and frozen whipped cream. Okay. Oh man, mashed squash comes with the cold roast beef. So all of that sounds good to me. And coffee. But I would never have coffee at night because I wouldn't sleep. Okay, here's another breakfast. I was too quick to say none of this would sound good. I was being all judgy because of the prunes. Because, you know what? Some of this sounds delicious. Because we're going to start off with cantaloupe with crushed ice. I need to give you a little aside about cantaloupe. And this will be relevant to your life right now. If you like cantaloupe and you have been grieving the lack of taste in cantaloupe in the modern age, if you live near a Trader Joe's or a Sam's Club here in the U.S., I do not believe these are available internationally, so for that, I am sorry. But Trader Joe's and Sam's Club both carry this variety of melon called Sugar Kiss. It's a specific variety, Sugar Kiss melon. It tastes like cantaloupe on sugar steroids. It tastes like what cantaloupe used to taste like when I was growing up. It is my favorite time of year when it comes out. I right now have 1 cut up in my refrigerator and 4 on deck for future cantaloupe consumption. So, a little aside from the modern age. Sugar Kiss melon, the best. But back in 1927, we're going to start off with cantaloupe with crushed ice, and I would imagine the cantaloupe is phenomenal because it's 1927 and we have not started to sanitize produce production so that it lasts longer and looks better on shelves. They were just growing cantaloupe on the farm and then cutting them and bringing them to market. So I would imagine that would be amazing cantaloupe. Rye mush doesn't sound good. I like rye bread, so maybe I am too quick to judge rye mush. Thin cream to put over our rye mush, assumedly. Griddle cakes with syrup, I'm in on that. And coffee, cocoa, or milk. I will have coffee with some cocoa in it, please. That's my choice. Our luncheon, cream of squash soup. When they say squash, I don't know if they're talking like butternut squash or like zucchini squash. If it's butternut squash, like a sweet orange squash, that sounds delicious. But if I am cooking all of these meals, I do not want to make squash soup. Scrambled eggs with bacon. I can make scrambled eggs. Graham muffins sounds good to me because I like a good graham cracker. Chilled salad greens with French dressing, a cousin to Russian dressing. Love French dressing. Well, ice cream pies. Well, for sure, ice cream pies. I'm all in. The dinner is chicken bouillon, Hamburg steak. Is it a hamburger? I don't know. Mashed potatoes with paprika, creamed cabbage, frozen fruit salad and whipped cream and coffee. They're drinking coffee at night. I don't think decaf was a thing back then. So for breakfast, we have partially frozen grape juice. Like as a kid, I would be all in on that. Fried cornmeal mush with syrup. Well, that sounds much better to me than rye mush. I'll have some of that, please. And bacon. Whole wheat toast, coffee, cocoa, or milk. And then dinner is grapefruit cocktail. Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't delight me. Consommé. Ooh, olives. Now, I don't think anyone is just, about olives. I could take them or leave them. I think either you love olives or you can't stand them. I am in... Wait, what do you think I think about olives? Okay, I love them. Love them. I love all olives. All kinds of olives. I'm happy. But I don't eat them very often because they're so high in sodium. I blow up like the Michelin Man. So I infrequently eat olives as much as I love them. And we're going to have some celery. Like a good celery stick. Always like a nice little nosh, as you're getting ready for the meal to be served. Fried chicken with boiled rice. I don't know what other kind of rice they had in 1927. And green peas. Yeah, I would eat all of that. Sundae with mocha chocolate sauce and sponge cakes. Yes, please. And may I have seconds? And then supper is Welsh rarebit on crackers. I don't know what Welsh rarebit is. I know I don't know what it is. Anyways, stuffed tomatoes and aspic jelly. Anytime we're talking about a savory jelly, I'm a no thank you person. Bread and butter sandwiches, of course. Like bread and butter? Yeah, thank you. Especially if it's that crusty bread, like crusty bread and salted butter. Delicious. Chocolate layer cake and frappéd ginger ale. I like chocolate layer cake. Love ginger ale. So I'm good with, I can't believe I started off as such a curmudgeon saying that we would not like these recipes because aside from a few things, starting off with the prunes and the rye mush, I'm thinking this is lovely. But I would not be happy if I was responsible for making it all. I would be very crabby. So if I'm coming to your house and you're serving me this, I will be fine. I'll help with the dishes afterwards, but I don't want to prepare it all. I'm so glad I am not a housewife in 1927. So, menus for informal luncheons. If one forms the habit of keeping special things in the electric refrigerator, any meal may be a company meal, meaning we're going to have guests. Because entertaining people was a big thing then. Again, if you think about it, in 1927, going out to a restaurant was a big deal. So you ate in each other's homes. Oh, God, I would not be a happy housewife. Yeah, okay. We'll keep going, though. I will not overlay my lack of energy about entertaining onto what perhaps would have been a delightful time in 1927. So soup stock may be kept in a covered glass jar and served jellied or quickly heated. Salad greens and dressings keep fresh in covered containers. White sauce, which is the base of so many soups and creamed things, may be made up by the pint when there's extra milk on hand and will be ready for use. This is my favorite paragraph, perhaps in the whole book. Cookie dough can be sliced off and baked at a moment's notice. Ice cream sauces may be kept on hand and served with any kind of frozen custard or whipped cream, and ice creams and mousses will keep for several days in the chilling unit. Now, I don't know what the cookie dough culture was in 1927. I don't know if housewives who were working the whole frickin' day would reward themselves with raw cookie dough. Like, I would not, well, I shouldn't say that. I actually do have some frozen cookie dough in my freezer right now, and it is lasting. So I would have said that I would have no discipline, but I actually do. I forget the brand, but I was at Sprouts, which is like a Whole Foods kind of store, and they had this refrigerated cookie dough that is made with almond flour and sweetened with coconut sugar. So it fits within the parameters of what I allow myself, and it's 90 calories a cookie. And if you think any of that dough is going into the oven, it's not. It is a delectable occasional frozen treat for me. But I just like this. Like, the cookie dough can be sliced off and baked, as if you and your kids are not going to eat the whole thing. Like, you don't think little Johnny is coming in and eating a whole log of your cookie dough at some point? And that ice cream and mousses will be kept? Like, no, we're going to eat that. I don't know. Anyways, I just think that's cute. Like, that's for company. How many of you remember that growing up? No, that's for company. Or when the living room was clean, it's clean for company. Don't eat that. It's for company. Like, company had this aura around them that they got the best of the best. They got the special stuff. And we had to sort of be on high alert, because when things were for company, it was a no-go. It was a no, like, I would have never gone into the refrigerator and eaten something that was for company until the company had left, and it then became our food. But it was not considered fair game until the event with the company had come to completion. So I'm going to skip some of the menu stuff and read to you more of the narrative, which I just think is delightful, because I love this. Menus for an afternoon of bridge. So if it's 1927, we know how to play bridge. I don't know how to play bridge. I don't know how to play canasta or pinochle, but I'm assuming in 1927 I would know these things. So the hostess who entertains at a bridge party does not like to leave her guests very long in order to prepare refreshments, because we've got bridge to play. They didn't say that part, I said that. I just need to be authentic with you. Here the refrigerator plays an important part. Salads and desserts can be prepared in the morning. Sandwiches may be made wrapped in dry cheesecloth and in a damp cheesecloth and put in a covered receptacle, and syrup and fruit juices for the fruit punch may be combined in a covered glass jar. The ice blocks decorated, ready for use, and the charged water bottles put in to chill. With the preparations made in the morning, it is a simple matter to take things out on a tray and carry them to the card tables when it is time for the refreshments to be served. So what can we discern from this paragraph, or these two paragraphs? Well, one, fruit punch is involved. So we will be making fruit punch. And we will be making decorated ice blocks. I have no idea what that is, but that does sound like that's very extra. So maybe I will read. Let's read this menu. What are we going to serve our bridge ladies? Because you know it was ladies, yes? Option 1, we're starting with salad and aspic jelly. I have already shared with you how I feel about savory jellied things. Salad rolls. Raspberry ice cream sandwiches. Yes, please. Hot chocolate, bonbons, and nuts. Love that menu aside from the jelly. Option 2, chilled fruit salad, cream cheese sandwiches, decorated icebox cookies, and hot coffee. Yes, please, to all of that. Option 3, finger rolls filled with chicken salad. I am a fan of a good chicken salad. Cheese, olive, and almond sandwiches. Sounds delicious. French pastries. Now, I don't know if they have an expectation that we are making the French pastries or if we're going to the bakery down the block. I would be going to the bakery down the block, and we would probably substitute French pastries for the Jewish deli and the cookies with the sprinkles and the kolachkis with the, the apricot jam in them. And then punch decorated with ice blocks. Here we get to the extra punch, like the very, very extra, meaning it's like extra special punch that has a decorated ice block. I don't know if it has Hello Kitty in it, which wasn't a thing back then. I don't know how we're decorating it, and perhaps we'll find out at some point. So option 4, layer sandwiches, Russian tea, I don't know what that is, biscuit tortoni, sounds intriguing, and peppermints. I don't know if they mean the candied, like chocolate peppermints, or like the Brock's hard candy. If you're inviting me over for bridge and I am expecting treats, I would be bummed if my dessert was hard candy. I'm just saying. Okay, option 5. Cherry and almond sandwiches. Delightful. Rolled cheese sandwiches. Yes, please. Chocolate mousse, marquise. I don't know what that is. And orange pico mousse in layers. Tiny frosted cakes. Sounds like a lot of effort. And coffee. Oh my God, there's more. But wait, there's more. Okay, option 6. Frozen strawberries, whipped cream, and lady fingers. Well, it sounds good, but it doesn't sound like a lot. I think, it says afternoon bridge. Okay, option 7. Pineapple mint smash, macaroons, and assorted wafers. I don't know if they mean the coconut macaroons or the French macarons, but it is spelled like coconut macaroons. Option 8, cinnamon toast. Oh, for sure, cinnamon toast. Yes, tea, a fig almond sundae. Well, if it involves ice cream, yes, but the fig part doesn't get me too excited. And little chocolate cakes. Yes, please. Number 9, creamed eggs and asparagus, toast points, decorated peach mousse in paper cases. Again, sounds kind of extra, but delicious. Coconut cakes and tea. Okay, that sounds good. Ooh. Wait, here's 10. This is what I oohed about. And it wasn't a good ooh. Eclairs filled with tuna salad. I'll tell you where that reaction came from. I saw eclairs and immediately I was thinking of, the traditional eclair with the chocolate top and the delicious custard inside. So that was in my brain, and then I saw the tuna fish part. And they did not mesh well. And that was where it went off the rails for me. Had I known it was a tuna fish in sort of an eclair casing, perhaps I would have had a different reaction to it. Celery sandwiches. I don't see the point. I don't know that celery belongs on a sandwich, but I've never had one, so maybe I'm wrong. Olives. Vanilla mousse in paper cases, garnished with red cherries and black raisins. Oh, okay. I don't know that I need the raisins if cherries are involved. And iced grape juice. How interesting is this? We're only on page 20, and there are over 100 pages in this book, so we will absolutely return to it again, but let me read one more section for you. Menus for weekend guests. Already I'm exhausted. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to have guests, and I am the hostess, and I must prepare meals for them. Thank God for my General Electric refrigerator. But do not eat my log of cookie dough. Otherwise, you will have to go and find a hotel. We have rules. So, the entertainment of weekend guests is greatly facilitated if one has a General Electric refrigerator. Menus should be planned and some work done in advance for all the meals with which guests will share. Many things may be purchased and prepared on Friday. Soup stock and salad dressings, jellied and chilled desserts may be made up ahead and served with little effort. Something different can be put into the chilling unit following each meal so that it will be ready for the next meal. Small pans may be secured so that 2 frozen things, like frozen pineapple and frozen cheese, may be put into the chilling unit at the same time. Okay, I'm going to read to you the whole weekend menu. It will involve some meat, so I apologize ahead of time. But how could they possibly expect the housewife to be pleasant and engaged if this is the menu? So, even though we have a General Electric refrigerator, so Friday dinner, because we're going to just start off the weekend, a grapefruit cocktail, olives, celery, consommé, fillets of sole with hollandaise sauce, mashed potato, baked spinach, a chiffonade salad. So we're chiffonading greens, crackers, a pistachio parfait in paper charlotte russe cups. They're very big into these paper cups, little sponge cakes, and coffee. Can I just tell you, this dinner would be all I would be responsible for like 6 months. Like, this would be a lot for me. And if you have any expectation that I would feed you again after this, it's not going to happen. You have a phone, you have DoorDash. Feed yourself, because I am not good at this stuff. Okay, well, let's keep going, because we're going to hold ourselves up to a higher standard because it's 1927 and we are graceful in the kitchen. So Saturday breakfast is orange juice cocktail, farina with cream, scrambled eggs, bran muffins. So we are cooking some muffins up, and donuts. So we're frying donuts unless there is a donut store down the street. Coffee, cocoa, or milk. Then for luncheon, we're going to have jellied soup stock with beets. Like every child's dream come true. Jellied soup stock with beets. Ick. Saltines. Creamed crab meat in patty cases with peas. Salad rolls. Pears frozen with ginger ale. Cream mayonnaise and tea. I'm assuming the cream mayonnaise goes with the crab meat and not a dessert, even though it's at the end of the menu. For dinner, like, at what point are you enjoying your guests, right? For dinner, we have cream of celery soup, crackers, porterhouse steak, maitre d' hotel butter. I don't know what that is. French fried potatoes, creamed cauliflower or broccoli, tomato frappe or frappe, orange jelly with fruit, and coffee. Like, at what point are you socializing with people? How could you possibly make all of this without help? I don't know. But perhaps you have help who comes and makes this for you. So the guests are still here. You've just cooked all of this food on Saturday, and now we have to feed them on Sunday. More chilled grapefruit, breakfast bacon, corn muffins, waffles, maple syrup, and coffee, cocoa, or milk. Dinner. Well, a caviar canapé. Well, aren't we going all out for our guests? They must be very special people. Chicken soup. Olives, dinner rolls, and salted almonds. Roast ham. Frozen crushed pineapple. Southern sweet potatoes. Love that. Lima beans, romaine with French dressing, frozen cheese, chocolate icebox pudding, and black coffee. So since it's Sunday, they're calling Sunday dinner sort of that lunch that you would have after church. It's a lot of food still. How could you possibly go to church and still feed all of this stuff? I'm assuming it's church. I can't imagine this is a Jewish menu, so I'm assuming these are church-going people, but that could be a huge assumption on my part. For supper, we're going to have chicken a la king on toast, tomato stuffed with frozen salad, salad rolls, orange layer cake, and chocolate. Like, there's a lot of preparation happening here, and they're saying, well, you could do it ahead of time. How are you doing it ahead of time if you're making 3 meals a day and cleaning a house and doing laundry? You have very high expectations of us. And we have to give them breakfast on Monday, so they're going to have chilled grapes. Okay, I can do that. I can give you some chilled grapes. Cornflakes. I can hand you a box of cereal with thin cream, milk in our house. A French omelet, not going to happen. Buttered toast. I will toast you up some bread and coffee. Can do the coffee part. And let me tell you why. Little ad here. I have come to love Javi coffee concentrate, which it comes in a little glass bottle, and you pour a teaspoon into hot water or into your milk, and it makes coffee, and it's delightful. So Monday breakfast, first of all, I love you, but you cannot come and stay with me for a whole weekend. But if you do want to come over for breakfast on a Monday morning, I can do chilled grapes for you. I can give you a box of cereal with some milk. I can butter some toast. And I'm even going to one-up them. I'm going to give you all the ingredients for a yogurt parfait, because I can do that. It's yogurt, and it's fruit, and it's granola, and it's a little bit of honey. I will do that for you because you're company. You're company. You can have company yogurt parfait because you're awesome. So listen, there is still a lot of goodness in this book that we will return to at some point, because how can we possibly move on when there are after theater lunches to be served? I mean, that just connotes that we are going to the theater. Fantastic. But I don't want to go to the theater and then have anyone expect me to feed them. But, 1927 and all that jazz. And we have to show off our new GE electric refrigerator. So I hope I have delighted you in some way. Oh, and there's a party menu for children. Okay, we'll come back to this book. Not in the next episode, but sooner rather than later. So in the meanwhile, I hope I have been good company for you, and I have kept you somewhat amused or rambled enough that you've gone to sleep. Either way, win-win. So, thank you for listening. I love you very much, and I wish you the sweetest of dreams. So please take good care of yourself and know that you are a blessing in this world, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.